It's been a difficult few months. Can you elaborate on why, please?
Yeah, I can do. Yeah, we put the album out in June and started touring, and then I think we toured for about a month and a half, and then we had a break for summer, so we could all go away with our kids. And during that break, Gem had literally a break. He had a bad fall and had quite a serious head injury that needed him to be out of action for, I think it was 3 months in the end. So we were off the road and basically just waiting for him to get better. Basically, as soon as I had the news, I was on my way to the airport. So the holidays kind of finished a little bit early. Came straight over to see what was going on, and then basically stay with him for the next few days, few weeks, until he was, back home and stuff.
And how was it when he came back into the band for that first rehearsal? How was that?
Oh, it was brilliant. It was excellent. I think everyone, because the band and crew and everyone, none of us really knew exactly how we'd cope with the things like the volume and the in-ear speakers that we use, that kind of thing. Those little practical things where you'd be thinking, is he going to find that he can't stand up for that long? But no, he actually started doing quite intensive physio about halfway through the whole thing. As soon as he could, really, and as soon as he started doing that, his progress was really, really quick, and he put a load of effort in. And so basically, like from the first rehearsal, he was just bang on it. He was one of the most on it in the band. He was really right there. So yeah, felt good to see it.
To take you back, actually, it's 14 years ago this month since you joined Oasis.
Wow.
Which so do you have memories of that time and when you first joined and when you first got in the room with all those guys? And
I was living in Sweden at the time. Got a phone call from Noel just to say, and I knew this anyway because it'd been in the papers that they were sort of in a jam and looking for 2 new members because Bernard and Griggs had gone. But any more than that I didn't know, so I didn't know how far along they were finding new people. But I got invited to go down and play with them, and so I did it, and it was great, really, really good. We had a couple of jams in the studio and then went down the pub and had a few drinks, and I think it was all part of the test, actually, the entire thing. And I passed the test, apparently, because I was invited in the same day.
You must have been you must have been a fan during the 90s when you were with...
Yeah, absolutely. I went to see Oasis probably 15 times, in the early 90s. I was at one of their very first gigs. I think the first London gig was at the Powerhouse, which was just to a few people that were tied up with Creation and Sony, and I happened to be in town and go to it. In fact, I think I was with Alan in Los Angeles when he first got given the tape off, I think he got it off Johnny Marr or someone, but he was playing it a lot anyway. Whether he'd had it for a while, I don't know, but he was playing the first demo a lot, and I heard it off him and was equally enthused, just like, this is a great band. So yeah, I was a fan from day one, from day zero. Married with Children was on there. Bring It On Down. I don't think Live Forever was on it. Okay. 2 or 3 of them sounded like Married with Children. They were sort of like bedroom versions, and haven't heard it since. I'd love to hear it again. But we did used to get Alan used to give me tapes of the new demos as they were coming in. So the Live Forever version that he gave us was a demo with the guitar starting it, and so it took me a long time to come round to the record version with the drum intro, because I was like, that doesn't sound like Live Forever, because I'd played the other tape so much.
Well, I was going to mention Live Forever because you've just put it back into your set and you start it with the guitar again. Is that you?
No, that's not my doing. I mean, we've done it now because of the Albert Hall gig we did for John Brooks. That was a really special day for us, particularly because Bernard and Liam got to play together again after so long. We did Live Forever, and we did it like that because Bernard wanted to do it that way. And we've kept it in the set because Liam really thought it worked, and yeah, it's good. It's a good version, because it's not just the original version again. It's quieter, and it kind of, I don't know, feels like it sort of, it's not trying to compete with the record version. It's just its own thing.
How do you feel approaching Oasis songs with this band? It must be it might be a bit of a pull because they're such great songs, but at the same time, you're trying to forge your identity as this new band?
Personally, doing Oasis songs, more often than not, I'm doing Noel's parts because when we were in Oasis, Gem had his parts all worked out. So the natural thing is for me, because I'm playing guitar now, to work out Noel's bits. And what I try and do is I'm not trying to put my own stamp on it or do anything to it apart from just try and channel Noel G. That's what I'm trying to do. And the gig I always refer to is off the last tour we did in 2009. We played River Plate Stadium in Argentina, and I always get on YouTube if we're going to do a tune. I always try and get on that. For me, that was the best tour we did as a band, and that was a gig that we all got DVDs given to us off. So we all thought it was a great gig. So I always just go from that. Try and learn those parts and then play them, because I'm aware that with a tune like Live Forever, the solo is epic.
I think you'll find it was in the top 50 guitar solos in some kind of rock magazine a few years ago.
I've put it higher than that, mate.
Not mine.
And so obviously to play it is taking on a lot on your shoulders. Taking on a lot of I better not mess this up kind of thing. So it's all done with the greatest respect for Noel and the original playing, original records, and all that kind of thing. So just and it's for the fans. It's for the Oasis fans who come to see BDI. It's kind of hard because we did try and forge our own identity as a band, and we spent the whole year just playing BDI songs just to force that point home. And really now it's a case of we've done that. We're out on album 2 now. We can draw from those songs as well, and I think we just all felt that we'd made our point. And if we stick a couple of Oasis tunes in, then really what's the problem? People do want to hear them. We want to play them. It's a big part of all of our lives. Do
you feel like you've got a bit of an albatross off your neck by playing, or address the elephant in the room?
Yeah, kind of. Yeah. I think that's the way of putting it. I mean, it's just kind of like life's too short not to do it. We feel like doing it. It's we're still BDI. I don't think we find it a threat to us in a way that we might have done in the beginning, maybe.
I'm going back to the B album that came out in June.
Yeah. When
you look back at it, now sort of 5 months on, are you still as proud as you were when you finished the mixing and sent it off to be released?
Yeah. It's an album that seems to definitely get better with more listens, and I'm really, really proud of it still. Yeah, absolutely. And the first one, I think we've done 2 different things with the 2 different albums, which is kind of a cool feeling. And on a third album, I think we'd probably try something different again, just maybe somewhere in the middle, maybe more far out, maybe more straight ahead. Don't know, it's hard to say now. But B has really done us proud, especially like tunes like Flick of the Finger, Second Bite of the Apple, Soul Love. It's been good. It's been really good. I mean, it's weird because it's kind of been hard to pick singles. We haven't really picked the singles. They've sort of, apart from we knew Flick of the Finger had to be the first one, and after that I have no idea really what even is a single anymore.
When you were in Ride and when you were in Hurricane #1, when you released a single, that's a big thing. You can expect it probably to go top 40 at least. When you're in Ride, probably top 20.
Yeah.
Now a guitar band releases a single, even the ones that are very popular, they barely touch the top 40. I mean, the whole industry seems to have changed. What's your thoughts on that?
Well, everyone's on a massive learning curve all the time with it, and we used to be quite. I mean, even in the later days of Oasis, we'd be looking at the singles charts going, I don't get it anymore, and so we kind of addressed that then really, and kind of got our heads around the fact that singles these days are radio tracks that promote albums or something. I'm not really sure. Even I think the big pop acts do still have hit singles, but a band like us, I don't think they do anymore. The times for an old man like me, I remember the late 80s when it was sort of like this, and there was just all pop, and it seemed to be no hope. And then the underground was slowly bubbling up, and before we knew it, then there was guitar music all over the radio again, and everything was cool, which kind of culminated in the Oasis time, really. bit of a build-up before Oasis, which Ride was part of, where guitar music was in people's minds, and then it all exploded.
That must hurt. B-sides are dead now, and for bands like the Smiths and the Stone Roses that you mentioned,
no, it's not dead. It's just a boutique thing now that you do if you want to. And we tried to keep the B-side thing alive. I mean, we do vinyl, and on the first album anyway, we did all B-sides which you couldn't get on the album. This time we did it a different way. We kind of, in a way, capitulated to the record company thing of, well, we're going to have 17 tracks and make them all extra tracks with different formats and everything. And having done 17, we hadn't got any more to give. We were just exhausted and had no more B-sides to put on. So we sort of compromised, and now the 7 inches have those tracks on them as B-sides, which, yeah, ideally you'd have other songs, but we haven't got any.
Going back to playing guitar,
yeah.
When you played bass for 9 years, you were, Ride were famed for their big guitar sound, lots of pedals.
Yeah.
How do you approach it being the lead man again?
It was different, actually. It's a bit like being Rip Van Winkle. The amount of new effects you can get, guitar pedals have really come a long way since the 90s, for sure. And so I definitely indulged myself with a few new ones. And yeah, I've loved it. It's been really good. The first Beady tour I was doing, I brought about 12 guitars on the road and had guitar changes for every song, and now I'm back to just 2 guitars, which are both the same. That I just switch between when one goes out of tune. So I've kind of reined that in a little bit. I've still got a lot of pedals though.
What's your favourite at the moment?
It's an Eventide pedal called a Space, which is all over the album. It's we used it as an effect for anything from voice to drums to guitars to whatever on the record. I mean, Dave Sidek brought one over, and while we were doing the album I bought one as well, so we had 2 going, and then went from there. So Eventide make 2 pedals. One's called a Time Factor, one's called a Space Factor, I think. And the Space one is the one I use on the setting Black Hole, if you want to know.
Always useful.
Yeah.
And I mean, that must have added sonically to the record.
Yeah,
Loads.
I mean, if you put different gear still speeding through that pedal, it sounds like B.
So the kind of sounds like on, say, like on Soul Love, or that bit in Starting New in the middle, is that kind of sound it's going for?
Well, it's a lot of the spaced out bits at the end of tunes, like Soul Love. I think it's kind of things like the track feeding into one of those pedals, and I mean, Dave did stuff that we didn't understand, but he used equipment that we could go and buy, so we've bought a few bits and pieces, but I don't know how he used them. I mean, I think he was putting the band through these things in a chain while we were playing, and then it's kind of like such a long reverb that we'd come in after our take and sit down on the sofa. He'd still be messing with that sound, and it would just be like a long 10-minute kind of like slow fade out that would keep changing. On Soul Love for sure, and also on Soon Come Tomorrow, it's got another of those kind of endings, and Don't Bother Me, and yeah, I mean, it's just basically using everything as an effect, using the band as an effects rack.
So you do these UK dates,
yeah,
and then is it blank? What does the future hold for BDI?
I'm looking forward to a good 6 months of touring next year at least, taking us right up to festivals and beyond. But having said that, I haven't seen a single date on paper that we're doing. I think they are happening, but I haven't got any concrete information for you.
Are you already planning ahead to a new record, or
planning it? And I wouldn't say planning it. We're still, I mean, we're sort of still in the moment. We're still in the moment of launching B, so we're not thinking that far ahead. But there's no reason why there shouldn't be another record.